Welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is this, the M2 CS. This is the sort of final version of the M2. We had the competition before came 2018. This was announced in 2019 and basically was right throughout 2020 the hot one to have, and it also won Evo's Car of the Year last year as well. So I've been quite keen to get this one in just to see if the magic of M is alive and well in this car. It's an expensive car over the M2 competition. It's a £23,895 more to get the CS version. And the car you see here, total with extras, £81,115. There's a lot of trick bits on it though, and whether it justifies the price and the drive is that much different to the competition is what I'm interested in with this car. Let's go and have a closer look. There's quite a few differences with this car. The first one notable, carbon bonnet. You can't really tell from the outside, but you do get an additional vent here that isn't on the competition version. Then coming down here, there's a carbon extension to the splitter there. And then around here you have these forged wheels. Now you don't have to have them in this sort of gold finish. That is pretty sparkly. It's a £500 option, and I've sort of got to like them now. But also on this car is fitted the carbon ceramic brakes on here with these enormous calipers. And there is an issue here, as I'll come on to, because that is incredibly close to the wheel. And it's got a little bit of a reputation of trapping a stone in there. And it happened to me, slow speed, suddenly heard this god-awful noise. And there was a stone in between the wheel and the caliper. I had to reverse to get it out, and then we carried on. And I've noticed there's a little groove in the wheel. What else have we got? Carbon caps on the mirrors, a beautiful carbon roof. It's a different sort of weave. It saves 10 kilos this alone, and they actually take out, there's a metal bar normally on the conventional M2 competition, that is removed, and the little bit of strengthening for a roof rack and thing, that's all gone, and that's why it saves so much weight there. What else we got? Yeah, carbon ceramic again at the back. There's a different exhaust on this car as well. So this is more like the exhaust you used to get on the M3 CSL. They're sort of different. It just enhances the sound you get on it. The CS badging as well. But I suppose most importantly on this car, you get more power for your £23,000 premium. You get 450 horsepower. Torque stays the same at 550 Newton meters. And that's the sort of the same engine you get in the M4. I'm going to show you at the front now. Lift this up. Now, here's the carbon, and this is a sort of two-stage carbon. It's sort of an outer shell and inner shell. I presume they're sort of bonded together. That is an uber expensive thing to do. So it's really impressive that's there. This, we've seen this strengthening, we saw this on the M3 and the M4. And basically this is the engine from the M3 and M4. So this is the 450 horsepower version. You get a bit more intercooling on it. It's a twin turbo 3 litre setup, and it's potent. It's a very good engine. I've got a friend who's a ring junkie, and he says it's a real proper engine. Temperatures never change on it. You can do as many laps as you want around the Nürburgring. They're tunable as well. So yeah, a good unit to have in there. And what gets me about this car is BMW say it weighs the same as the M2 competition, which is a nonsense. It has to be a nonsense. Yet the official weight is the same. I know that there is some components on the engine, it has an additional cooler and things that might make it a little bit heavier. There's also, we'll get into the interior, there's a carbon center console as well that saves 2.5 kilos. But I've just done some investigation on it because I can't see that the weight can be the same. First, starting off with the forged wheels. Forged wheels are a lighter construction than doing a cast wheel. They say they're lighter, they claim they're 9 kilos at the front, 10 kilos at the back. I would guesstimate at around 20 kilos saving just in the wheels. You then got the carbon roof, that was 10 kilos, the interior 2.5 kilos, the carbon brakes, which are optional, 22 kilos, carbon bonnet 11 kilos. Another little bit I discovered going through the spec is if you have the manual gearbox as fitted this car, then that's another 25 kilos saving. So a considerable amount of weight is saved on this. I weighed it, and it admittedly only had just under half a tank of fuel at 1429 kilos against the BMW declared weight of 1550 kilos. it's a bit of a mystery, that one. You'd think we're putting that much effort into all the weight saving paraphernalia all round this car, you would be very proud of that weight. And it's the one thing I don't understand. But I would say this car is between 60 and 80 kilos lighter than an M2 competition. Odd that they don't do it. But anyway, what this car is all about is the driving. Let's take it outside now. Yes, quite a compact car. The first thing that strikes me when I get in here, everything's slightly downscaled. After living with the X5, I look at the screen on the dash and it's about half the size, but I've got the controller there. I've got buttons on this car, being a Club Sport. You instead of have the digital readout to do the adjust temperature in the cabin, I get knobs to control the temperature in the cabin, which is a good thing. But I'm met with that flipping great fat wheel that M Sport seem to insist of putting on their M cars. I find it inexplicable why they fit such a fat wheel. Just annoys me, and being Alcantara just seems to add to the size of it. It grows a few more mil where it really doesn't need to be this fat. Because it's Club Sport 1, it's stripped out here. There's sort of no armrest. I should have mentioned actually one of the options on this car is electric seats, all adjustable memory seats. They look the part, and we've got nice wings on them. £650 extra, but when you've gone through all that effort to actually lighten the car, why fit electric seats that you know are just going to put the weight back up? So that seems a bit odd. Let's start it up. Manual adjust on the steering column, no electric on that, which is fine. Service due in 8,000 miles. Normally flashes up, so restricted performance because it's still cold. Oh, handbrake, yeah, remember them? No electric handbrake on this. Nice. I mean, it's a nice place to sit here. Initially, I'm going to mention the seats in a moment. Oh, and the other thing you get on the Club Sport version, I get adaptive dampers. Instead of having a single rate damping rate on the dampers, adaptive dampers. So 3 positions. It starts off in, it just depends where this one is in. Sport, I can touch it, Sports Plus, and Comfort should I require it. Yeah, I'm going to mention that as well because the comfort setting isn't particularly comfort-like to me. Manual gearbox though, and a really nice relationship between the clutch and the gear change. They say they've put some carbon elements within the gear change to make it an easier, slicker change. Don't know about that. All I know, in the week I've had with it, I really enjoyed the gear change. Manual gear change just works a treat. Right, I'm going to head out onto some better roads, so you'll join me in a moment. Yeah, conventional stalks and things indicator. And instantly you get the 6-cylinder growl, made so famous by all the BMWs in the past with the same engine configuration. And it gets a bit of a move on. You have to watch your speed. Lovely change, manual gearbox change. It's just a delight. It just feels utterly natural with the manual gearbox in this. I'll put it alongside cars like that Boxster 4-litre GTS I had in, or that GR Yaris. Just a nice mechanical feel, no hardship whatsoever. Sometimes you get a manual and it's just stiff and not cheap. Not the case with this. You sort of change gear just for the hell of it. You also get a blip. I'm not heel and toeing. You have to, if you're used to heel and toeing, you sort of have to take it out of your brain. No, I don't have to do that. It will rev match as I go down through the gearbox. Just takes a little bit of getting used to. But it is grumbly. Yeah, I forgot to mention that is my noisy bit of road, and I got peak readings matching 911s, etc., which you sort of expect. The other thing I didn't mention in the garage, this car is sat on Michelin Cup 2 tyres, the most extreme tyres, same one, Pilot Sport and Cup 2 tyres that I've got. I've got them on the Project 8 and those sort of cars. They come on the Porsche GT3 as well. You can option the Pilot Sport 4S tyre should you be wanting to use it more in the winter and a sort of an everyday car. And why wouldn't you? It's that sort of car really. But the Cup 2 do generate a little bit more noise. Yeah, it's just a small car. I mean, it's not I mean, it's not a small car as small cars used to be, but compared to other cars in the sector, I can quite happily sort of touch the other side of the door on the other side. It's sort of, it's compact, shall we say. I mean, there's a little bit of space. It's got full-size seats in the back because it's got a normal roof, not like the Yaris, but yeah, just is a nice place to sit. It sort of feels friendly, part of you. It's an individual sort of car. I've put this adaptive dampers into comfort. You almost default to comfort. It's a bit of a misnomer labelling them comfort, because they're not comfort at all. They're definitely on the firm side, but that is because of the spring rates on this car, which are, yeah, full on track focused type of car that it is. So you have to have the damping fairly stiff to cope with controlling that sort of spring rate. I find I'm always trying to find what's actually rattling. It's all quite hard plastic, all these sort of cup holders and the door bins and stuff, and as a result you sort of get rattles if you put anything in here, so you have to close it up and work out what it is. I mean, it is pretty sparse in here, it all sort of works. But then you think, hang on, it was £81,000 this car. Get a little bit of carbon fibre, etc. Right, this is my little squirt out of Burford, so I'm going to go down into second. I'm at 30 miles an hour, and then you'll hear this thing stretch its legs. It's a proper howl, isn't it? And it all goes sailing past 7,000 RPM. Sometimes turbo engines sort of give up at the top end. No, not so this one. Oh, it's off. Feels really strong. Well, it's 450 horsepower, and I saw the torque is actually capped. It gets to 550 newton meters at quite low revs, and then it's just flat, and then falls away at higher revs. So they've capped it. It must be a gearbox limitation or something like that. Ahead of me, I've just got a conventional sort of analog dials, but they are electronic inside. The needles aren't real needles; they're on the LCD readout. Right, what am I in? I'm in sport comfort dampers. I'm going to turn right down here. No need to blip, turns in nicely. Oh. Yeah. 4 seconds they claim to 62 mile an hour. It's about 8 and a bit to 100. So yeah, proper quick car. Like the engine on it. I mean, it is turbocharged and it does feel that muscular feel, but it also has that wonderful rasp, so it's a good combination on the engine. Now I've got it in comfort here. Let's just try it in sport settings on the, yeah, that's firm down here. I mean, this is my bumpy section. So yeah, definitely on the firm side. I'm just going to slow things down and just see. I'm in third gear. I'm going to go down to 1,000 RPM. Just see where that starts to pull. Right, it can pull full throttle from there. 2.5, 3, 4, and then get stronger and stronger. And I'm going far too quick. You're never going to tire of this engine. The way it delivers its power is very nice. Right, here's my compression through here. Sport damping. No problems around there. Oh, the steering is more direct. It weights up as I go into the turn. Go through here. I mean, yeah, it feels like a little mini racer. And I'll tell you what, it feels 1,000% better than that M5 through there. I've got connectivity. I know what's going on at the wheel. Great feeling. I was one of that M5, maybe I'm making a bit of a song and dance on it, but it was one of my big disappointments of last year, when particularly in the steering, just the feel of it, it was so compromised. Absolutely not the case with this car. And the brakes, yeah, I mean, aggressive sort of braking, slightly soft pedal, but lots of power as you'd expect with a carbon disc through here. Perfect rev match. Punches out of there, my goodness. goodness, almost feels quicker than 4 seconds to 60, this car. Right, it's time to sunrise this car, I think. Start with the dislikes. This chuffing wheel, get rid of it, M Sport. Give us an option for those that don't like it. It seems to be 95% of your customers. Give us a thinner wheel, or at least one in leather. Just make it an option. Then, I mean, the price, it is expensive, this car. It's an odd one, because I don't feel because it's based on the M2. You sort of got to lift it a bit more. Where's the plaque telling me I bought the Club Sport? Yes, I've got this, but they produced 2,200 of them. It's not uber limited. I think there's about 400 in the UK, so it's not as rare perhaps as the M3 CSL was. But, it's a shame really, because it's got some ability to justify the premium, the 24,000 as near as damn it, over the competition. I want to know how much weight I've saved for all that money spent, and I want to sort of, like the M3 CSL came with those bucket seats. You shouldn't be able to have electric sort of seats in here. That's not what the CS should be all about. And I have to mention the seats that that aren't here. Yes, these are option. I went down to Eastbourne to see my Jaguar XJ Coupe in build. You can watch the video up there if I've put it up already. I think I have. And I had to get out of the car mid-journey because I was so uncomfortable in these seats. I don't know what it is. I can't find a lumbar support, but they are definitely not my favourite seats at all. Going on to the likes. Well, I love the looks of it. It looks purposeful. It looks a bit of a thug, and it sort of is. Just its character, just the amount of performance it's got. That turbocharged engine is a gem of an engine, and it's great to hear. It's uber reliable. You know you'll be able to tweak it. It has an in-depth sort of strength to it, and the fact it's the BMW M2. I've got the iDrive. I've got usual things. I've got cruise control. With M I can choose my settings as well. I mean M1 at the moment, so I like all the usability with this car as well. I love the way it drives. I mean the steering is a bit of a standout for an electric system. I just thought M had lost their way with the M5. Absolutely not with this car. Just feels a car that I would continue to enjoy to drive. Just what I want from an M car. It's operating in a very competitive sector, this car, and there's some other gems around as drivers' cars as well. And would I put my £82,000 into this car if I had that much money to spend on a car? Well, one, the car is already sold out. It's done. Production finished in October last year, so there's just one or two. I found one for sale in the UK. But I think it's up against some very stiff competition. One in the shape of the M2 competition just below it, and two in particular, Cayman 4-litre GTS or Boxster GTS. That was a gem of a car as well, in manual form and normally aspirated engine, a bit lighter than this car as well. If you really enjoy driving, I think you'd actually enjoy that car even more than this one. And I think if I was getting this car without the plaques, without the big marketing push from BMW, I think I'd just have the M2 competition and then spend a sort of £5,000 doing absolutely the perfect chassis on it, giving the engine a little boost. And I think I'd be just as happy as I am with this car. Not, you can get a carbon roof option as well on them. So yeah, that's my conclusion on this M2 Club Sport. A fabulous car, but perhaps just missing the mark to make it a 10 out of 10 car. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, well, please keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.